button.
Hi, and welcome to another exciting Pirate News. I am your host, Joe, the Quartermaster, and with me is Captain Jamie, who is helping us get this recorded.
Ahoy.
The one and only Malt.
My mustache is Chilacere.
And the mighty Steve.
Hi, everyone.
Sorry we're a little late today. We wanted to wait for Jamie.
It's all my fault.
No, we decided as a team to wait for Jamie. That way it wasn't so awkward for Jamie, and we can give the rundown of the list. That being said,
we're late because I took time researching what I'm actually going to say tonight for once.
Well, there is that. There is that.
Oh, well, isn't that special?
But the one starting the list off tonight is our mask mandate that's happening in Massachusetts again. A lot of towns are starting to do the lockdown. Worcester's a little less so, which is kind of weird, but
you have to understand. City Hall is basically a rubber stamp for the commerce, the Chamber of Commerce. So anything that's going to make suburban assholes feel bad in Chili's is not going to fly in Worcester.
Mm.
That's why Worcester is presumably why Worcester is asking for masks for city events on city property and not just indoor spaces in general, like everyone else.
Yeah. Sorry.
Mainly, we just want to, as fellow human beings, we want to ask you to please be safe, stay out of the bad breath zone, wash your hands, wear masks when appropriate, and just try and keep everyone else safe. Who knows if there's a 24-hour period, or if you got it, you don't even know you have it, and you're spreading it around. So just be safe. Don't be that a-hole, and hopefully everyone stays healthy. But we will be posting in the list below what places are doing what, at least a link to it, so you can check what your local city is doing, or you can always check your local city in Gov. And we do highly recommend that you just follow what they're asking you to do. They're asking you for a reason. So.
I'm gonna say I've seen a lot of anecdotal reports of mass infections from outdoor masked events. There was someone saying that a 250 person wedding resulted in 49 people sent to the ER. I've got friends getting married in October, and I'm considering not going because I don't know how terrible it's going to be by then. But I'm going to say maybe revisit the mentality we had in the first few weeks of this, where we weren't sure how deadly it is, because I kind of feel like the media is underplaying how dangerous it is even to the vaccinated.
Yeah, I mean, with the new variants, you can still get them, from what I understand. There is some immunity if you've had it before, if you're fully vaccinated, but you're still going to get hit with it, and it's still going to not feel very good. So, and all these people were saying, "Oh, I got natural immunity." No, there is no natural immunity. You can get it again and again, and we know this for a fact, and it is proven.
Yep.
But the vaccines work. Use them.
The vaccines lessen. It's like getting the flu shot. It doesn't mean you're not going to get the flu. It just makes it so it doesn't kill you.
Well, it also, it improves your chances of not getting bad symptoms from it as well. But it isn't 100%. Nothing's 100%.
I will say it's also, now that the FDA has fully approved it,
the Pfizer one.
Yeah. Like, we know it's safe for pregnant women. Like, it's safe for pregnant women. And there are a lot of reports from nurses in neonatal intensive care units that there's going to be a generation of orphans who have survived COVID and never met their mothers because the mothers.
That's heavy. That is heavy.
Yeah, I had to log off for the day when I read that.
Ouch.
Yeah, like, guys, please take this seriously. It is that bad.
Yeah, there's only 3 counties that are not in the red in Massachusetts right now. So if you don't think it's in your town, it's there. So just be careful.
Like, people are talking about the ERs and ICUs filling up in the South. It's filling up in Massachusetts too. People are getting flown into Connecticut from Idaho.
Yeah, that, and not to mention all the other head colds and stuff as the weather's going to be turning. It's just something that you should be careful out there. In other news, we have an interesting report to go over with Chicago ShotSpotter.
Well, it's actually the Chicago Police Department and ShotSpotter. So this story comes courtesy of the Register, L Reg, the my favorite UK tech blog of all time. Don't actually know any other UK tech blogs, but that's a small thing. The Reg is still awesome. But anyway, so they published an article last week talking about ShotSpotter. Now, ShotSpotter, these are the devices that basically listen for gunshots, and what they've got is some sort of machine learning or artificial intelligence component to their system that tries to classify a loud noise as a gunshot or something else.
Can I interject on that point?
Go for it.
It is entirely a mechanical Turk operation where employees are often pressured by police departments to invent gunshot reports that otherwise would not be classified as gunshots in order to back up police lies.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are sort of like 2 interesting twists here. So one of these, in what twist number 1, in Chicago, the their ShotSpotter devices generated over 50,000 alerts in 2020. Now, upon investigation, less than 10% of these, about 4,500, had actual evidence of shots being fired. The twist number 2 was a 65-year-old man who spent a year in jail awaiting trial on, and basically the main evidence that put him there was a ShotSpotter report. The ShotSpotter report turned out to be bogus. They revised it and said, sorry, just fireworks are bad. Now, Chicago Police Department, apparently they've got an Office of the Inspector General who kind of went through these records, and their conclusion was that this thing is not an effective tool. The Chicago Police Department, however, disagrees. From their perspective, it is not about accuracy. It is more about operational intelligence. Which I admit, Malt and I were talking about this before, and this was kind of a, well, what do you do with operational? What do you do with operational intelligence? Well then,
wouldn't it just be intelligence and not operational intelligence? Like, how does it operational intelligence if it's not an actual accurate system?
Well, you see, they are Delta class operators that exist within a tactical zone of operation that they then Tom Clancy, military fascist bootlickers.
So basically,
I'm not containing my laughter.
Well, I didn't get it, so I'm glad you did. But that is, I mean, to Malt's point, if there is pressure for reports to be falsified, then the fact that you get an alert and there's a 90% chance it's wrong, it still gives you sort of leave to go in and check it out.
Yeah, it is effectively they're using what they claim to be a neutral AI system in order to launder racist motivations to go into racialized, oppressed communities.
Well, there's also the fact that if there's shots being reported as fired with a computer system, it gives them a reason to go in with their guns drawn. It's like an excuse to go, okay, it's happening, guns out, and without fully investigating that it is a deadly situation.
We also need to point out that when these shot spotter microphones are deployed, they are not deployed universally across the city. They are located primarily in low-income, working-class, poor communities, racialized communities. And by generating more reports in this area, the AI system detects a pattern and puts more police into the place that it's sending police into the first place. It snowballs. It's a snowball effect.
So there's there's a great book about this sort of thing, Kathy O'Neill's Weapons of Math Destruction. So it's good reading for folks who are interested in how computers and algorithms are working to shape, or in some cases misshape, our daily lives.
I mean, generally, if you're making a pattern, you'll find a pattern there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. So
on other horrible news.
Other horrible news. This is not just a good week, but let's go with the next horrible news story.
So the CDC's eviction and foreclosure moratorium has expired. The ruling, it was a 6-3 ruling. All 3 liberal judges dissented, but basically the Supreme Court says that the CDC does not have the authority to suspend evictions. Congress has to do it. Congress will not fucking do it. So we're going to have 3 million people kicked out in the streets and basically prohibited from ever renting again. Because our government is sociopathic and using this as a genocide event on the poor and working class.
It also makes it harder for them to vote, I'll just point out.
Oh, right. Yeah, it does. The thing that there are a number of things. There was $46.5 billion set aside for housing aid. The amount that has been dispersed since the end of July is $5.1 billion. Also, landlords that tenants owe money to can refuse government aid and still evict people anyway, because they are assholes. Yeah. So that's fucked beyond all belief. In something that is, sorry, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I just wanted to say, if you're facing eviction, a judge has to evict you. It's not like your landlord can say, "Oh, okay, you have to get out now." It's like, no, they have to go to a judge, and the judge has to say, "Yes, you can evict this person." They cannot legally change your locks. They cannot legally take your doors take your front door off of your house. They can't do that.
People take the front door off? What?
Yeah, I found out about that recently. Yeah, literally.
What?
Yeah.
Yep.
I liked there was a woman on TikTok. I don't think she was being evicted, but literally the landlord removed the stairs. She was stuck in her apartment because, I don't know, the landlord was having someone fix the stairs and forgot he had a tenant. I don't know. But yes, no, they've changed the locks. They've had people show up and just take all the stuff out without a court order. They've taken the doors off, whatever way they can to make it. And obviously not all landlords are like this, but unfortunately enough. Yes, certainly enough are assholes.
Just the
Sorry.
evil.
and we'll do that. So yeah, that has been done.
In utterly baffling news, scientists in Ohio have found COVID and COVID antibodies in wild deer populations. So, like, the deer have been infected for a while, and some of them have started to survive it. And of course, it's in Ohio, of all places. Anyway, that was kind of hilarious. So,
yeah, I think there are other animals that have gotten it, but I certainly haven't heard of anyone dying of it. Though it's kind of amazing because it's out. You're outside and you don't interact with deer much. So how does that vector go?
That is a fantastic question.
Mm-hmm.
I bet we're gonna find all kinds of like fascinating things in the coming months and years about this disease.
I wonder if it was transferred via ticks of people with COVID who then infected the deer.
Revenge! That's
Revenge.
Lyme disease.
And just your reminder that there is, in fact, a vaccine for Lyme disease, and it's no longer under patent protection. So if there's some enterprising generic manufacturer that wants to go and use it, you can.
And it's 30 days of, when you get that stuff, it's 30 days of just this awful medication and awful experience. Lyme disease will really kick you in the lungs, but you can get over it.
It's not fun.
It can go chronic too. It can get really bad when it goes chronic.
Yeah, if you don't catch it soon enough.
Yeah.
I
know
on
some
Twitter,
people like that. Yeah.
Speaking of open source and generics, there's a team on Twitter that claims to have open sourced insulin production for diabetics. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. That sounds pretty fascinating. Anti-vaxxers, hot subject, have been dosing themselves with a horse dewormer called ivermectin. And there's a fascinating story as to where this shit came from.
Where did this shit come from?
I'm glad you asked. Some of you might remember during the Trump administration, he had a doctor come out and claim that hydroxychloroquine was an effective therapy. Her name is Dr. Stella Emanuel. She also was famous for claiming that ovarian cysts came from sex with demons, which seems self-defeating, I gotta be honest.
And she got an MD?
Yeah, but like, you gotta remember the person who graduates last is still called doctor. But yeah, so she's with an organization called America's Frontline Doctors. It was founded by a woman named Simone Gold, who spent the past few years going from church to church to church to church, preaching absolute hogwash nonsense. She is currently under indictment for her role in the Capitol riot on June 6th, and was released on personal recognizance. And just Saturday she was the headline speaker at an anti-vax rally in Los Angeles. Anyway, so as hydroxychloroquine failed, America's Frontline Doctors started experimenting with other COVID therapies that included ivermectin. These were developed in countries that don't have vaccine access because they're poor and we're racist. So America's Frontline Doctors eventually partnered
and patents.
Yes, and patents.
Patents enabling racism.
America's Frontline Doctors partnered with an organization called Speak with an MD, which is a telehealth provider who did $90 COVID consultations over the internet, and their entry form contains a checkbox. Do you want ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, or you're not sure? So, like, here's the grift. Like, that's where ivermectin gets introduced. as Speak with an MD starts taking off and being more and more successful, the wait times start racking up and people get desperate. So some of the private Reddit and private anti-vax Facebook groups realize that you can buy ivermectin over the counter in feed and animal supply stores. So now you have individuals like Milo Yiannopoulos injecting themselves with horse dewormer.
So just out of curiosity, I mean, your average
Sorry,
horse
couldn't have
is
happened to a better guy.
I was going to say a horse is a lot bigger than I am. So what does a horse-sized dose of horse dewormer do to a person?
They overdose and they get disoriented, diarrhea, vomiting, hot flashes, basically like your normal bunk acid experience, and then you die.
Isn't there also another one that they're doing on the streets, ketamine?
So, I mean, I'm not going to speak on ketamine. That's self-incriminating. Ketamine, they're not doing ketamine to cure COVID, as far as I know.
Give him time. I mean, I'm still left with we've had 100 million people take these vaccines with really tiny numbers in proportion to that who have had any negative effects beyond flu-like symptoms for a day or two. And that is still worse than taking something that's going to give you diarrhea, probably won't work, and is just a grift. I don't know. I'm just amazed. I'm seriously amazed.
The rich, powerful white fuckers of the world broke every law they possibly could to get the shit the minute it was available. They wouldn't have done that if it was poison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've read that every governor in the United States, whatever their party affiliation, has been vaccinated. So it's, there's do what they do and not what they say. I think that's the way to look at it.
Personally, I'm not seeing any magnetism. I've tried putting my mobile phone against me to hold on, and it's not working. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Why am I not magnetic? And I've got a mobile phone, so I already have a tracking device. So who needs an RFID chip in me?
It's like, I swear it's like it's just people desperate for a reason to believe that they are smarter than everyone else. Like, I think that's gotta be at least part of it.
I mean, there's a lot of fear. Some people are getting symptoms, they are getting COVID, and they're looking for a treatment, but they've been fed a pack of lies by a bunch of grifters who are more concerned about their ideological viewpoints that have no basis in reality than.
Well, here I have a radical suggestion for anyone who's kind of thinking about the vaccine or not sure, or just unsure about public health and the pandemic. If you have a doctor, talk to them.
Yeah,
I mean,
honestly, before you do any type of healthcare fad that you find on the internet, talk to your doctor. There's actually a story of a woman who drank an entire gallon of soy sauce and ended up killing herself because she heard it was a great diet method. And it's a well-known fact. You can look it up. So don't try it unless you know for a fact what it's going to do to you.
In the immortal words of the New Yorker, on the internet, no one knows you're a dog.
But I mean, this still gets to a wider problem, which is, you're right. Lots of people do have access to a doctor, but there are large numbers of people who either don't have health insurance, or their health insurance is such crap that they would rather not go to the doctor than pay whatever exorbitant copay their insurance is trying to steal from them. And so, if we had a single payer healthcare system that covered everyone, everyone could see their doctor and they could set up a visit and be like, I have concerns. I've heard these things about vaccines. And the doctor would hopefully say, provided they're not in this group that Malt mentioned before, no, really, you should get the vaccine. Look at your medical history. Say you're diabetic or you're overweight or you have, you're taking drugs to suppress your immune system. You really should get the vaccine. But we don't have that because, we want to make sure that the insurance companies can, take 15% in administrative costs and have their profits. So
I also want to say, I do believe that our audience tends to skew largely towards cannabis consumers. And I know there's a lot of woo in the cannabis community about it being a health, about it being like a health thing. And the bong resin on your lungs is not going to stop COVID. Your 5 joint a day habit is not going to stop COVID. Your vaporizer is not going to stop COVID.
And I suppose edibles aren't going to stop COVID either.
Oh, edibles actually will stop COVID. Injectables will stop COVID.
Vaccine injectables.
Yeah, there are 3 strains you got to check out. Dubba Bubba Pfizer Kush. You got your Girl Scout Merdana cookies, your Johnson and Johnson's and Dr. Ron Johnson's Sex Wax. Those are the 3 strains you got to check out. They're all Susudios. No Indianas, all Susudios.
I'm still waiting on the marijuana hand sanitizer.
Man, I could have made a lot of money off that.
Like marijuana scented? Are you just describing hash?
No, I think he's talking about like a CBD hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer.
CBD hand sanitizer.
Why?
Because that would be awesome.
Do your hands have nausea? Like,
no, I mean, there is, if I recall correct, I was looking. I have skin rashes on my hands occasionally, and I was looking for a solution. And some health store recommended like some CBD oil, which I did not use because literally I could not stand the smell of it.
Oh no, you got it. It's gross.
The best thing to use is silicone glove or like the udder cream, the stuff that farmers use for udder cream.
Yup.
That stuff's great.
But do not in any way think of our advice
fantastic. Your hands
real
will
medical
be so
advice.
Soft.
I am a doctor of crime.
Soft.
All right, so moving on, there's let's talk about Worcester.
Again.
Yeah.
All right. So as you know, Tenet Healthcare
owns, speaking of medical, what about that strike, the nurses' strike in Worcester?
So Tenet Healthcare owns St. Vincent's Hospital, where my child almost pooped in my hands the first time I held him. So the nurses have been on strike for a while. It's well beyond 100 days they've been out on the strike, and Tenet Healthcare has just been dumping millions into scab workers. And the city has installed a number of surveillance cameras on the light posts on the post office side of the street, looking out onto where the nurses are striking. Now, there are some folks who have been trying to get some information about this, Freedom of Information Act style, And town of Leicester quickly responded to say that they have nothing to do with it. Meanwhile, Worcester has been dragging their heels, has not responded, and is in danger of violating the FOIA law by not responding. So obviously, these rats have something to hide. So once again, you see the Worcester PD acting as the thuggish enforcement arm of a corrupt, sociopathic, anti-human healthcare organization. And it's just like, do they not feel bad?
Well, I mean, what's funny is it's kind of, I hate to say this, but there's a hell of a lot of historical precedent. You know, if you think of there's American labor movements have a very rich history. You know, who's the the owners of a factory or a hospital, relying on the police to enforce, their preferred policies are, there's a history of it. But by contrast, you never see the police holding up, going in and like arresting company officials for unsafe working environments or other BS. I mean, it's
I think as the kids call it, sus. It is sus AF. But I mean, like, imagine growing up all your life wanting to be a cop, protect and serve your community, and then you get through, the academy, you get through orientation, and you're basically demoted to being just like a Pinkerton.
Yeah.
Anywho, the world's on fire. There's a storm bearing down on New Orleans. They did not have time to declare an evacuation because I learned that the lowest lying areas are not in New Orleans itself, but to the south and east. And in order to evacuate, they have to go through the city. So if the city is evacuated, they're just trapped in the most dangerous areas. So that's like,
I do have one silver lining to leave us off for the evening, and that is there's a fair that happens every year. We call it in Massachusetts, we call it King Richard's Fair, where you can buy overpriced turkey and just see a bunch of dudes being medieval on each other and beating each other up with generally pretty large blades.
Is that a recent purchase?
Yes, this was my birthday present.
Joe,
to myself.
Joe, did you eat an entire turkey leg?
I would eat the entire turkey. I'm fat. Most people don't realize it, but I'm a 300-pound giant behemoth of a human being.
Nice.
Thus having the broadsword, yes.
No, that's just because I like things that are. I love history because those who forget history are condemned to repeat it. Which is, hopefully, I'd rather be wise than smart.
Yeah.
They're
both kind of overrated. I will say, if anyone does go to King Richard's Fair, get the turkey leg last. If you show up and get it first, you will realize you've only wanted to eat about a quarter of it. They are profoundly greasy. Your hands and face are now slathered, and you have to carry around, like, you either have to throw away like $30 worth of meat, or you carry it around every day, like for the rest of the day, attracting flies and like the spittle of children.
The spittle of your children. It is a good time, and is something that's coming up very soon, and so definitely recommend getting the family out there, but still practicing safety, spacing, and the whole nine, because we're still in it. So.
Plague masks are historically accurate. So I'm toss that out there.
The cosplay of it all.
Oh yeah, man.
All right, so definitely like, share, subscribe, and give us those comments. Talk about what's going on.
Wait.
Keep us up to date.
Jamie had something you wanted to say.
I'll put a link in the description with how you can support the nurses strike fund and otherwise support them. Just that.
Thank you so much.
Don't talk to cops.
Everything you say can and will be used against you.
All right, done.